What's up, my loves? It's your girl Diamond, and I'm back with my own new review of Married to Medicine. This is the second part of the reunion. I did not do a first part because the first part pissed me off, but I did a community post about how I felt. This second part pissed me off to no end because it was the Toya and Eugene show where they was literally holding everybody accountable for the part that they played. They stole the show. They were the kings and queens of this at this point. You know what I'm saying? And Miss Stevie over here really was trying to use any and every moment to have it with Eugene for no reason whatsoever. All because he felt like his ego was bruised because he was presented on this show like he was broke. When he presented on the show having an issue by having to pay $300 tickets. Make that make sense. So we continue on with Simone and Jackie, where Simone wants Jackie to be honest and tell the truth that Heavenly lied and that Simone did not push her. Now, in the midst of them having their own argument, their own conversation, Heavenly is chiming in every single time, being the loudest one in the room for them to not have their conversation. And I want someone to tell Heavenly to shut the fuck up. The way that y'all got annoyed that Toya kept talking, I need y'all to be just as annoyed and tell Heavenly to stop talking. So Simone asked her the question, did I push Heavenly or did I not push Heavenly? Jackie said, no, you did not push Heavenly. Thank the Lord. Don't know why this took a long time for Jackie to admit, because we saw the footage. You saw the footage. Don't know why you want to still perpetuate the lie that Heavenly was making that she pushed her when she didn't. Now, while she got that out of Jackie, Heavenly still wants to have a moment and still wants to shift the blame and shift the narrative that, well, Simone needs to be accountable for everything that she said. She still needs to apologize to me for yelling at me. Girl, it'll be a cold day in hell before you get that apology. Because we have seen you on our television screen always yelling at somebody else, always going below the belt, always talking about somebody else's business. And what we're not talking about is that's exactly what Heavenly did to Simone that led to that reaction. We need to talk about how Simone and Quad got into one another, and we need to talk about how Simone reacted to Heavenly, thinking that she can hug her, thinking that she can say, oh, we good? Hell no, get this girl off me. I'm not taking no picture with this fake ass girl. Don't put your hands on me. No, don't talk to me. Don't do none of that. And when Heavenly got that energy out of Simone, that's when Heavenly wanted to pull that knife in just a little bit more by saying, well, I'm sorry for what you're dealing with. I'm sorry what you got going on in your household. Girl, let's go. Let's go. That's it, that's all, because there is nothing else that needs to be said about this. Heavenly, you lied, period, point blank. So everyone asks, do they think that Simone pushed Heavenly? They all said no. Should we be shocked by it? No. Then Contessa is talking about how how Heavenly acts like a Blaren sometimes, which is a black Karen. How you start a whole lot of stuff, but then when you get confronted, you act like, oh my God, somebody's after me. I need help. Call security. And that is a fact. We know from what happened last season with you and Contessa going back and forth, and you said something out of pocket that demanded an ass whooping. She said, "Square up, ho." You said, "Security, come get this girl." Now, Simone only met you with the energy you gave her, but you want to say you was in risk of your safety. You want to say she was unhinged. She snapped. She did all of this. Contessa is continuously calling out that Heavenly does a lot of shit to the people who she thinks she can punk. But then Heavenly also wants to give that same energy to other people, but she won't give it to Contessa because she said, oh, I'll definitely call security on you. But with her, hell no, I'll whoop her ass. Hell, you not going to do shit. As well as we know, Simone not going to bust a grape, you not going to bust a grape. Because how can you say you were physically threatened by somebody and then you're going to say you're going to rip their throat out, but no, I said I'm going to whoop her ass. That doesn't make any sense. And then you carry this narrative that you was in fear for your life and that's why you didn't come on the trip, but then you still came. Make it make sense. Backstage, we have the men. Curtis wants to confront Eugene about what Toya said about him on Watch What Happens Live, about how he has had his hands on a number of women. But the way that Curtis is saying it, he's saying as if Toya perpetuated a lie that women have contacted her or she has contacted other women to say that Curtis has had his hands on a lot of women. But we all know that's not what happened, Curtis. Like, if we're going to keep on going down memory lane, let's keep going down memory lane. We know on the show, you put Toya into your lap. We know that you were seen at an airport with another woman that wasn't your wife. We know there was another photo where you were taking a photo with Jackie, Damon, and Heavenly, and your hand was around Heavenly's waist. Those are the couple of women, my dear sir. What are we doing here? He really trying to make it seem as if this is a whole lie that Eugene has been enabling. He's been going along with it. He needs to come out and admit that it was all a lie. It wasn't the truth. Eugene is looking at him like, what are we talking about? We know that there were two women you put your hands on. So I don't know what you're trying to say about what Toya did, because I don't know what she did. All I know is what you did. So while trying to check Eugene about he needs to be accountable for what he shouldn't co-sign, Steve is in the back co-signing like a bitch, and I need for him to sit back. This is not about you. This was before you. I don't know why you're trying to come in and be the lapdog to Curtis. Get out of my face with this. So then, throughout that whole ordeal, Curtis ended up admitting that he did touch Toya, and that's all that needs to be said. Because I don't know why we're having a back and forth conversation about this. What was said is what was said. What was done is what was done. You know what I'm saying? And he really is mad at Eugene for not co-signing his bad behavior, because that's what Curtis wanted. Curtis wanted for Eugene to say my wife was completely wrong. She shouldn't have said that. Hell no. I'm not going to be on your side for some shit you did to my wife. What you did hurt me and my wife's feelings. So I'm not going to be on your side for that shit. And I don't care what anybody says when everyone has re-uploaded that scene where Toya was pulled into Curtis's lap. They're all saying, why didn't Toya get up fast enough? And when Heavenly pulled her to get off his lap, Curtis kept her down and held her and said, no, no, no. So I don't care about why Toya didn't get up. This man was already being seen to be a cheater. This man knows he doesn't have a leg to stand on to demand anybody to fight for his battles, to defend his character when he couldn't defend his character. Neither could his own wife. But yet she still smiled and accepted him back and didn't want nobody else to mention it again. And I'm not finna do that. So knowing that we are blessed to see a lot of black doctors on this show, but since there have been DEI cuts, there has been a lack of representation. Simone said, yes, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Pell Grant. For Simone, that was a great opportunity for her to make sure she had the opportunity to receive money she didn't have to pay back. For Contessa said, for me, you could receive offer letters, but there's no guarantee that they're going to cover your whole entire college, because I'm going into the medical field and I don't have family that are doctors. What makes you think that the jobs my parents have, they can afford a $400,000 tuition to send me to college? Where is that money coming from? So that's why we do love scholarships. We love grants. We love full rides. We love that stuff. And we did discuss the demise of a nurse who was injured during a DEI and ICE and all that kind of stuff. Heavenly talked about, you would think that somebody like him would be protected because he was white and privileged, but for us, we are not protected. We don't have the privilege. And Jackie advocates for black women, so she says, talking about the morality rates, how there been a period of poverty. Women have died from ovarian cancer, breast cancer, and so on. And then there's been a recent spike in the HIV cases among black women. Contessa is an advocate for PrEP. PrEP is not only designed for men who sleep with men, it is designed for anyone who is sexually active. You should protect yourself at all costs if you're not in a committed relationship. Think bigger. It's more so protecting you from getting involved with anybody who don't practice safe sex. You should make sure that anyone you are engaging in intimate acts with are clean. They're advocates for safe sex. They should use protection. All that and then some. So the ladies take a lunch break. The men come out on stage. I look at all the men and their outfits. I recognize that I didn't see Shamar until the end of the first part of the men being on stage. I'm like, why wasn't he on stage? Maybe he came late. But looking at the outfits, everyone looked nice except for Steve, because Steve wanted to make sure he was the finest man in the room. I think he wanted to stand out because his suit was all white with bedazzled red gems all over, Cuban link chain. He had a silk undershirt. His chest was out, little peak of the pec, because he wanted to be seen. It was given Liberace. All what he was missing was Elton John's flame out glasses. That's all he was missing. But Steve, nobody is checking you. Nobody is sweating you. Nobody's doing none of that, Steve. You're doing way too much. So then Andy want to talk about the drama that took place downstairs with the guys. Eugene said it was no drama. It's just us discussing Labgate. You know what I'm saying? When it did happen, I wasn't upset about it, but I do think my wife was still offended by it. Offended? No. I feel like frustrated when y'all making it seem as if it was all her fault when it actually wasn't. That could be the part. And Curtis still wants to have his moment by saying that Toya perpetuated a lie that I have done this when that's not true. Toya is listening to Curtis lie and said that that's not what I said. What I said is that Curtis has had his hands on a couple of women on our show. Me being one of them. That is what I said. So she's clearing her name by saying the 3 women I'm talking about was me, Heavenly, and the woman he was seeing outside the show. There's your 3 women. So I don't understand how he's making it seem as if women came to me or I was seeking out women when that's not the case. I'm discussing my experience with what took place. So people need to stop trying to make it seem as if Toya is doing the most when she's not doing nothing but speaking out her experience of what she dealt with. And I've already repeated myself with what took place on that episode that we all seen multiple times. And then Toya ends up telling Jackie, this is the reason why I've been angry at you. I have been holding this in for all these years because, Jackie, you and Curtis made it seem as if it never happened. And that's telling that when you know your husband did something that he was literally an earshot from you watching it and you still don't want to admit he did something wrong and you hold everything against Toya, it's crazy to me. It's crazy. So because you don't want to hold your own husband accountable that what he did was wrong, he don't think what he did was wrong. So he can still go off and do things that are wrong, that are disrespectful to you, but you're not going to say nothing about it. And you want everyone else to just recognize that you're going to figure it out the way you want to figure it out. But don't point it out. Don't make him be accountable for it. Just let things roll off. Just pretend like it never happened. Don't have time, Jackie. History is repeating itself. That Jackie will not admit what is right and what is wrong. Crazy. And Curtis is still lying right now because now that he has a bigger audience in front of Andy, he now wants to still place the blame on Eugene. Try to admit that what his wife did was wrong, but that's not going to happen. My wife was not wrong. And then he wants to say what happened isn't what happened. You admitted it backstage. So why aren't you admitting it now on stage that you did pull my wife down into your lap and I didn't like that? Make it make sense. But you know what? Eugene is not even going to go back and forth with Curtis. He said, listen, if you want to be stubborn, be stubborn. That's fine. That's cool. I'm not going to fight you. I'm done with it. Because you're not about to make him feel upset or make him feel bad about what you did. Like, you're not going to shift blame. Anyway, we move on. We talk about Damon. Damon lying, saying that he didn't get a massage when he actually did. Then he want to downplay that it wasn't a massage he's used to receiving. I don't care, Damon. It was what it was. Lying about something about getting a massage is a very small lie to lie about. It makes me wonder what other lies that you have not told Heavenly. What other lies that you have carried out and never told Heavenly. I want to know. So then we talk about the moment that Eugene and Toya had when they were at their home for the skip work event. He said it was a married moment because you will be lying if you have not been with someone for a long period of time and you didn't have a moment where you might have said things you shouldn't have said. And it just so happens to have been at her house where a lot of people saw it. It was on TV and it was around a bunch of people who weren't really invited, and they would not have been invited if it wasn't an all-cast event. That is towards Heavenly. Here goes Steve, itching to have his moment, can't wait to jump in, and then wants to say it's a narrative spin. How is it a narrative spin, Steve? Make it make sense. You think that Eugene and Toya aren't telling the truth about what happened when that's exactly what happened? So Eugene is annoyed with Steve. He said, you didn't even have to comment. That wasn't even nothing for you to say. But, excuse me, he said, I need to say it because you want to put the blame on Mimi. Who said that? Who said that they wanted to put the blame on Mimi? Mimi was not even a part of that conversation. If he's recognizing that both him and his wife did not act like they should have acted towards one another and they saw the worst in one another, then that's what they did. You need to listen and pay attention to what actually took place at that event. All right? Now, while you trying to have your moment and want to call him out and not recognize the part that you and your wife played is crazy to me. Because when I saw that moment, Steve, I saw Heavenly and Mimi judge Toya for the way that she was responding to her husband, and they thought that she shouldn't have done that. If I'm having an issue with my husband not stepping up, not helping me like I have been asking of him to help, and he irritates me, I respond to him irritating me. You tell me I'm wrong for responding to how my husband has made me upset? Mimi, you said lead into your femininity. That is a problem for me. I'm not about to soften my tone and come correct to my husband for him to get that I need his help with something. No, I'm going to say it how I'm always going to say it, with my clear voice, so he can know I'm not playing with him. This is what I need from him. And Steve, let's not get it twisted. You and Mimi were also trying to wonder if this is an occurrence between him and Toya. You also followed them to the kitchen and watched them have their own argument once again. Make it make sense for me. Eugene says, I saw the look on Mimi's face, judgment. The look on Heavenly's face, judgment. So it is what it is. So then here go Mimi. Toya, why did you blame us? She said, because y'all was talking shit. No, that is not true. I was not talking about your marriage, Toya. I did not do that. But you did, Mimi. You did do that. You said it's giving cringe. It's giving chaos. They're not giving model couple. Your words. So what we doing here, Mimi? You said it. I need for you to know that if you are questioning about what it is that you said, and now we have camera footage of you saying it, you need to admit that you said it, because you did say it. And I love Eugene's energy. Like, he was not giving the energy that Steve wanted him to give. He was cool, calm, collected. But then Steve still wants to see if he can get a reaction out of Eugene by saying, I see who you are Eugene Bush. What does that mean? Like, that's not really shade. That's weak shade. You trying to make him look like a weak man or less of a man if he took his wife's last name. Like, what the hell we doing here? That's a caveman mentality. Can't do it. And it wasn't necessary for what he said. Steve still had to come out and say, come on, Steve, let's not do that. Eugene has been saying Steve has been rude all day. And as far as you need to be a part of this group, you just got here. I've been here since day one. And what the men don't do, we don't come at each other like this. We're not rude to one another. So you got to understand how to operate when we're in this group. Here go Curtis wants to co-sign because he still want to have an issue with Eugene about Toya and how the ending started at his house. And Eugene just shuts Curtis's down by saying, you know what? I get how you feel. You don't like my wife? That's cool. I'm going to need for you to hush right now because you really don't have a leg to stand on in this issue. And again, Curtis, hold your own damn self accountable for what you did, point blank, period. You're not going to beat this man into submission and admit that his wife was wrong when his wife wasn't wrong. And once again, I love Eugene's energy because his energy was really like calm, cool. Like, y'all wasn't about to have this man break a sweat about nothing. Curtis said he has an issue with the truth. Eugene said, oh, I believe so. And I do too, because you have not been truthful all day today either. So we're at an impasse, okay? So then we talk about Damon and why didn't he tell Heavenly about their son's arrest? And Damon really didn't answer the question. He talked about how nobody knows the real story and that all they see is how he acted on TV. They don't know what really happened, and they need to know that he did handle the situation as best that he could. Okay, that's not explaining what took place. Then he's talking about how his son was doing. He really couldn't answer that right away. He ran around the mulberry bush, talk about the love you have for somebody, and when you can protect them, you have to do whatever you can to protect them. And if there's something you don't know how to handle, you figure it out. Using that reference of him being a doctor, he didn't know everything. He did know the psychiatry level of how to handle the situation while he's read a lot of books. And when his son is ready to come home, he'll come home. He is praying that his son is good. Just talking outside of the situation and not addressing what the situation is. And when Scott asked him, do you know where your son is? He finally answered it and said, no, I don't know where my son is. Like, it's reading to me that there has been something really big going on in Damon and Heavenly's household that they're not ready to talk about, which I don't find fair. I get you want to protect your son about what it is that he had going on, and that is his story to tell. But the way that you guys are handling it, y'all want to protect everybody's part in this. Y'all don't want nobody to wonder, how did this happen? And just saying that you handled the best of your ability, we don't even know how you did that. So we talk about the drama that the ladies have had throughout the show. Damon said that he's shocked about how this show has been. He feels like things gets weaponized in this group. No shit, Sherlock. And how people are making up lies about him. And I am Simone. Simone is saying, well, tell your wife to stop saying shit because she's the one who starts shit. And I have to agree. Nobody comes after you, Damon. Heavenly starts with other people and they respond to only what they can do, which is bringing you into it. Because she always talks about somebody else's husband. She's always talking about somebody else's situation. But God forbid, if we bring you into the mix, then she wants to get upset. Like, girl, what's good for the is good for the gander. You know what I'm saying? And she dishes it, but she can't take it. So he is apologizing on behalf of what Heavenly says, but gives the excuse that that is who she is. And that's how she's going to be. I haven't said anything. I haven't done anything. Why does it matter? You are a casualty of war. You are still connected to her. Both of y'all are one, the way that she says it. Anything that she says is going to come back and haunt you. And then Scott comes in and said, you know, Damon, I got to tell you this. Your wife has said a lot of mean and hurtful things towards everybody on this group. And if it's not true, she'll make it true. She'll say it till the cows come home. You know what I'm saying? So for me though, Damon, you got to recognize something. That your wife has caused a lot of shit in the group. And while the men have been respectful of the fact that they're coming to you to tell you what your wife said, you don't make any effort into keeping her accountable that she shouldn't say those things. Now, I know the men cannot control their wives, right? But we got to at least see you recognize that what she says is wrong. What she says is problematic. And if somebody wants to come out and put you in the mix, you got to accept it. Because she puts all the husbands in the mix that they don't deserve to be in. She's always mentioning husbands that aren't a part of the conversation, which she's having with the other wives. And then Cecil also made it a point to what Eugene was saying, that we as men, we never used to come at each other like this. We used to always handle our problems. No, they have not always been pretty, but they got resolved. And it is way different now. Damon says he hasn't made the assumption that they don't talk to their wives, but he feels like people have assumed I haven't spoken to my wife. Well, we don't see it enough. They wants to give him that moment that him and Heavenly do talk about things. I've already said that it doesn't look like y'all do. I think that you avoid that. I think you don't want to deal with that. And then Damon says that Heavenly has taken his advice. Nobody believes it. Here goes Steve, still looking for a moment to call out Eugene to say that you see how Damon was taking accountability and he apologized for his wife's behavior, even knowing that what he did wasn't wrong. He still held himself accountable and apologized. Whatever you do, Steve, you're not going to make Eugene apologize to what Toya did because she really didn't do anything. And Steve is on his high horse trying to call out who deflects, who is upfront and honest. Eugene said, I'm not deflecting. And then Steve says, I'm not talking to you. It sounds to me like you are talking to me because you've been talking to him this entire time. You've been directing all of your energy towards Eugene. So who else are you talking to? Who else are you trying to say that they don't accept accountability and that they just deflect? Who else are you talking about? So when Andy asked him, well, who was he talking about? Then he said, I mean, it's pretty obvious though, right? Get your Jay Leno crimson chin ass away from me. Because you talking about a hit dog on holler. You're the only one fucking barking. There's nobody else barking. There's nobody else coming at you and jumping at you about the situation. You're the one jumping at Eugene because you want a moment. You want him to be held accountable for whatever issue you have with him, and it's not making any fucking sense. And why can't you stand on your own 2 feet and admit you got an issue with Eugene all because he made you look like you was broke? But that wasn't even him. That was a situation you didn't want to recognize that you played a part in. I got time for this shit. So we move on. The main segment is over. We get to the part where all the couples on the main stage. We deal with their marital struggles. Mimi trying to be superwoman. Simone recognizing that her family hasn't given a fuck about her. Curtis put his foot in his mouth about he needs to talk about how a relationship isn't working when he shouldn't be talking about nobody else's relationship. And Damon enabling his wife's behavior. Excuse me. So then there was a game or a question. What would your wife do versus what your girlfriend would do? Curtis was the one to be asked that, and he said sex. I know a lot of people think that Jackie is a freak, But I don't think she is giving that to Curtis. I think she's giving that to herself, not to Curtis. And then how Curtis just wants to match the goal that Quad had by wanting to reach a goal of having sex 50 times in a week. Ew. But at the end of the day, Curtis, you're never home, and Jackie don't want to leave work. Cecil was asked how was Simone as a girlfriend before she was a wife. He said she was more mild-mannered. She didn't have a lot of mouth. She was cool, calm. Simone said, I pretty much waited until I got that ring to show you my true self. I'm not mad at that. Then we get to Steve and Mimi's relationship. How being parents with a special needs child is a lot, and there have been higher chances of them to get a divorce. So how do y'all protect y'all marriage from that? They said we intentionally date one another. We do check-ins. She goes on and on about how she can do what she can to serve him. I didn't like that word. How she should want to honor and support him in any ways. Steve says they do reminders. They do, you're doing a good job. And they are raising an amazing child. And Contessa asked him, was it hard for them to talk about their story on national television? She said it absolutely was. And then she wanted to put a disclaimer that she goes to therapy every 2 weeks just to have that reminder that she is going to deal with this battle every single day for the rest of her life. I get it, Mimi. I really do. I know it is tough raising a special needs child. And it is almost the same as being tough of raising a normal child. I want to know, why is it that you need to go to therapy every 2 weeks to discuss how hard it is to raise a special needs child? Why? Is that the only reason why we're having consistent therapy sessions for? Let me know. So then we talk about how Simone hasn't felt appreciated and secured in her life. She wanted to clear some things up real quick. Cecil has 2 jobs. All right, she is not paying his bills. They split the household bills, and they're trying to keep up with the boundaries with the boys, and how she hasn't cut things off entirely with them. You know what I'm saying? She still is navigating this next stage in her relationship with her children. Heavenly is rolling her eyes so hard, her eyelashes just fluttering. I don't know if she's annoyed or irritated, but I feel like she is filled with jealousy that while Simone has dealt with a lot with her children, she is still fighting to still have a better relationship with them. She is fighting for that respect that she deserves with how she's raised them and how she has given them the world. I feel like Heavenly hasn't made any strive on how to fix things with her son, and maybe she doesn't know how to start because she's going to avoid taking accountability of the part that she played that led to her being at such odds with her son. So nobody liked what Michael said to Simone in that heated moment at dinner. Jackie said that Cecil need to show up more in that battle, and she agrees he does need to show up. Don't throw me out there under the bus. I need him to be there and admit that we've had a conversation and we don't agree. I want us to be on the same page. Because if we're going to navigate raising our kids past this point, we need to know what we say and what we're not going to say. Curtis, he tries to give an apology to Quad about what he said about their relationship and about their process of having a baby. His reasoning was because he didn't understand the magnitude of how the process was. I don't give a fuck what Curtis is trying to spin. It wasn't about how it was tough for them, because it wasn't your place to make it seem as it was never going to happen because they weren't married, they weren't living together. Not your place. I don't give a damn about Curtis's apology. I wouldn't accept his apology because it was not an apology. He wasn't holding himself accountable that he shouldn't have said it, but Quad is accepting it. And here go Heavenly, still trying to make it a moment of trying to spin the narrative that Simone still needs to be accountable for what she said and be accountable for her apologies. You're not getting it, Heavenly. Shut the fuck up. So then we get to the main issue, which is the Met Gala, and the main issue that Steve had, because he felt the way about how he had to pay a ticket. Then he wants to use these big words that it was a targeted move, it was a strategic move. Explain to me how it was a strategic move, Steve. I don't get it. It's just so funny that you're using these big ass words to create an issue that's not an issue. Saying how you was ambushed, you was isolated, now you was targeted, and then it was strategic. Did y'all look up at the source before y'all came here? Like, how much y'all adding into this conversation, but you trying to make it stick and it's not sticking. Steve is really on his high horse, thinking he has the audacity to check Eugene and Toya about what they haven't contributed to the last year's Met Gala and how we've done way more than them. Steve, you keep on flexing that you bought an ugly ass bowl for $5,000 that nobody begged you to do, and you thought that spending that much money was your automatic entry into the Met Gala, into being a part of the planning committee because you spent $5,000. That's what you wanted to contribute. That's what you wanted to do. So because it's what you wanted to do, then we're supposed to just grant you free access to having something to say about a Met Gala? Fuck no. And you don't have no leg to stand on to check anybody about their lacking contribution when you didn't even give this year. You said you had a scholarship, but it was going towards somebody else. And when you said you was out, that means you was out. That means you guys weren't not going to contribute at all to this year's Met Gala. Toya is going back and forth with Steve, talking about you don't know what you're talking about. And Toya tells Jackie, we gave Jackie a check. We gave Jackie the money. We see Jackie nodding her head yes to what Toya is saying. But Jackie isn't trying to make herself to being seen, to being shown that she really is agreeing to what Toya is saying, because she still wants to make Toya the problematic person. She still wants to make Toya in the wrong, when the entire time Jackie's in the wrong. Like, y'all, are y'all seeing what I'm seeing? Jackie has not been held accountable at all throughout this whole ordeal, and it's pissing me off. At the end of the day, Jackie, you were the one who wanted this to be a lesson for her to be taught, and then now it was a great event. You still don't want to give her credit. You want to take credit and say she had a good mentor, she had a good role model. But throughout the whole ordeal, there could have been a time where you could have showed up and be that good mentor and told everybody how she was operating, but you didn't do that. You left her ass out to dry. Excuse me. So she's telling Steve, take some accountability and stop talking. Okay, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know the finances of the Met Gala. All right, here it is. He thinking he knows everything about the Met Gala. He wasn't even aware of it because he was not here in the last 3 years. You weren't here when the process of the Met Gala was created. You came in the second year and you still didn't do nothing. Your $5,000 wasn't the big donation that they got. Okay, Steve, remember that. And now you're coming at them that this is their one time that they're hosting this year's Met Gala and they still didn't give. Who are you to say that they didn't give? Who are you to say that they didn't do anything? They shouldn't be saying anything to anybody. Why are you so passionate about something that wasn't even your idea? This was something you was a part of. You didn't even contribute, like I said before. And why are you in such competition about whether or not people have donated? People have put in for the cause. Are you nuts? And then you still trying to match the $5,000 you gave last year as if that's the only amount of money they've ever received. Like, fuck out of here with that shit, Steve. Like, you act like people begged you to spend $5,000. Nobody begged you. Oh my God, still has a hard on for Eugene, still acting like he's deflecting. So it's like, what is going on in your head? I really understand something, because he did apologize to you for the way that you weren't updated about the tickets. He apologized to you for the way you felt about what happened at his house. So I don't understand what else you want him to take ownership for. Because I don't think that Toya and Eugene did anything wrong with the way they handled what happened at the Met Gala. Because if you didn't understand, he made sure you understood. But I feel like you don't want to recognize the actions you portrayed, and you don't want to admit you might have been a part of that miscommunication and that misunderstanding, that you thought by saying you was a part of Jackie's table, that meant you had your own ticket, but you didn't. Make it make sense. And checking Toya for what? I don't know why you want him to check Toya for. Apologize for her behavior for what? Make it make sense. I don't get it. Now, while we were still beating to submission about this damn Met Gala thing, Simone said, listen, Steve, I see what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. But when it comes to any kind of event, somebody has the opportunity to turn you away and not invite you in. Mimi thinks that she was turned away, but she wasn't. Y'all weren't kicked out. Y'all weren't saying you cannot come into the establishment. Your name is on the list. That's not what happened, Mimi. You guys walked in. You heard that you needed to pay a ticket. Eugene pulled you to the side and explained the situation. So make it make sense. Y'all paid the ticket, but then you want to make it seem as it was targeted, that she was the only one that came to y'all and rolled up on y'all. And Simone said that's not true. She rolled up on everybody. I bought a table and I purchased 10 tickets. And when I got there, she still rolled up on me to make sure I paid. Hello? But what's so crazy to me though, Mimi, you're looking at Simone covering for Toya's actions, but it's the same thing you did to Heavenly. You covered up Heavenly's actions. You didn't clear up what Heavenly's intentions were. You allowed her to do what she doing. But if Simone is telling you that Toya gave the same energy to everybody to make sure that they paid and that their names were on the list, this is what she did. You think that the energy is only towards you when it's not only towards you. For a psychiatrist, you are supposed to have a good listening ear. You are supposed to hear both sides and come up with a neutral perspective and understand both sides. But you hear what you want to hear. And what you keep hearing is Toya has a problem with you. But that is not the case. I need for you to look at the opposite way and not come from a biased perspective. All right, I need you to recognize your own actions of how you came at her. Maybe you misread the situation because you did not know the whole ordeal of you needed an additional ticket as well as knowing you were seated at Jackie's table. Like, you just don't want to admit that this could have been a misunderstanding on your part and on Steve's part, and that you guys need to apologize for it, because that's what I'm recognizing. That Steve and Mimi definitely have a way of not accepting accountability. They don't apologize for why they act the way that they do. They don't do it. They use a whole bunch of words to counteract their actions, counteract their behavior, and put everything on one person or two people like they're doing to Toya and Eugene. Mimi doing the most once again, thinking she can diagnose and analyze somebody's behavior and chalk it up to insecurity, believing that Toya is insecure about Mimi and her life, and at any time we are around them or our presence is being presented, they feel a way about it. Their energy is being presented about how insecure they are. Mimi, are you okay? No. Are you okay? Because how did you get that out of your interactions with Toya? That she is insecure and that her energy is always in a tizzy whenever you venture in the room. You sure it's not the opposite? You sure it's not the opposite? Because your energy be up in a tizzy when she be in the room. So I'm being so for real right now. Does Mimi not recognize how she has behaved in this ordeal with Toya? Has she not looked at how she has always come at Toya since the first episode of this season? You are always course correcting Toya, telling how she should behave, counting her drinks. You're doing the absolute most. So always check Toya about how she behaves. Meanwhile, you have not recognized your own behaviors. Make it make sense. What is she insecure about? Her life is set up. She lives a very good soft life. Her husband is a doctor. She's a part of a she's a part of a reality show that she's been on since season 1. Mimi, you've been here for 2 years. You honestly think that your presence really bothers Toya that much? No, I think her presence bothers you that much. And if you want to call on insecurity, ma'am, you have not behaved like yourself while you are part of this group. You're too busy analyzing, dissecting other people when you don't even know how to be yourself around a group of women that have different personalities. And I feel like you don't know how to be yourself. So you feel a way of how Toya can come in and be herself all day, every day, and not give a damn. And I don't think you know how to do that. I think you are trying to keep on holding that perfect image you have of yourself, and Toya just bothers you to no extent because she don't have to do that. I am in a very secured marriage where I can be myself all day, every day. I can say whatever I want to say, and my husband isn't going to do nothing to make sure I'm living the good life. Because honestly, Mimi, I feel like you envy what Toya have. While Toya is an educated woman, which I feel like y'all don't give her enough credit for because she is educated. She just didn't become a doctor. She married a doctor who will work as much as he wants to work to give her the life that she deserves. I think that Mimi wishes that she was in that same realm with Steve. While I do think she enjoys her work, I do think she enjoys her career, I think she wishes she would have really experienced what it would have been like to be an NFL wife. Well, that's too bad because your husband barely lasted a few years in the league and he really didn't have a lot of time in any of the games because he was just a practice player. So you are now in charge of everything. Your husband works for you. So you envy that you don't have that freedom that you wish that you had. And then I got to listen to Contessa and her bullshit once again, projecting what she's not getting in her relationship onto what Toya and Eugene have, because she's talking about how the Met Gala was supposed to be for the ladies and that Eugene was not a part of that conversation. But Eugene is a part of medicine. Excuse me, Contessa. He's been in the medical field for over 20 years. So it's very interesting, Contessa, because you ain't said shit all season. You have been quiet as a church mouse. We've only heard you discuss your frustrations about Scott, building your practice, and that's it. You really didn't have much to say about the planning process of the Met Gala until everybody else felt the way about it. You really don't feel the way about it. You're just following behind everybody. But your only argument is that it didn't make any sense for Eugene to be a part of it. But that's because it's an issue for you, because your husband don't show up for you. Your husband don't show up and lead when you're feeling like you can't do it. Because we all know you felt the way about how your own husband did not plan your first birthday. So since you're not receiving what you where you are supposed to receive in a partner, you're making it an issue that Eugene is doing it for his wife. And I feel like we are missing what has taken place. It was revealed that y'all did this for Toya to receive a lesson. Make it make sense. And Toya puts it out on the table of how the Met Gala operated. The first 2 years of the Met Gala, Jackie did not share any details, but asked them for money. So when it was time for Toya to host the Met Gala, what did she do? The exact same thing. I need y'all to give me y'all money, and I'll let y'all know when and where it's going to be. So what's funny to me is nobody questioned Jackie about how she wasn't communicating with how the Met Gala was planned. So how come y'all was all up on Toya and being disrespectful to her because she was doing the exact same thing? Again, the lack of communication is coming from inside the house. It is coming from Jackie. Because Jackie could have easily have told y'all that the way that Toya is handling the Met Gala was the same way that she did it. But no, Jackie wanted to still be a part of the lesson, wanting Toya to be humbled, wanted her to be punished because she did not contribute. But if Jackie just nodded her head earlier that Toya did contribute, then what is the point of all this? And why would you use something as big as the Met Gala for this to be a lesson? It don't make any sense. And we all know what happened when Phaedra came on. Heavenly was already against Phaedra being a part of it. And then when she assumed that Phaedra didn't do her part, she had so much shit to say. Turns out Phaedra did do her part. And I know a lot of people are trying to act as if raising 10,000 isn't enough in medical scholarships and all that kind of stuff. It actually is, because if tuition doesn't cover everything, that alone should cover enough. And it wasn't even said that 100,000 has been the biggest contribution that the foundation has received, because it hasn't been a set number. I don't even remember how much they raised the first year of the Met Gala. And to be honest, though, I don't even think that there was a set number of how much they wanted to raise for the first year's Met Gala. It just so happens that Phaedra promised a huge donation that she had to make it to fruition, that y'all assume it would have been the same thing when Toya did it. But don't look at what Toya did was an easy thing to do. It's not easy raising money. It's not. So if she did 10,000, then maybe y'all should come together and want to raise something more than that. Maybe 25,000, where y'all could have multiple students receive more than $5,000. But either way, they want to keep on harping about what Toya didn't give, what they didn't give. Listen, if you want to give to charity, then give to charity. And charity doesn't always mean monetary donations. You give what you can. And if you want to be flashy and give a lot of money, then you flash and give a lot of money. But don't act as if nobody else is on that same time because they gave what they gave. It doesn't matter. What you give is what you give, and what you felt is what you felt. Nobody is in competition of how much they should give and how somebody should be giving. You can't tell nobody how much they should be giving for charity, and you wouldn't like it if somebody told you should give more than that. But again, that's the conversation they want to have, which don't make no sense. But again, where is Jackie's feet being held to the fire? When is Jackie's feet going to be held to the fire? Because I'm not seeing it. So Eugene said, my wife opened up to me that she has a deadline, and that these ladies have set her up to fail. And she does not want to look like a fool. She really wants to have this event. So she really cared about how this event was going to be done. Like, she really had a passion for this event. And she wanted to prove it to you ladies that she could really put on a good event. And Eugene wanted to make sure everything worked out great. That's why he wanted to oversee who paid and who didn't pay, because this was a private event. And y'all felt the way about that? Why? There have been plenty of events where they have ushers overseeing who was on the list, who wasn't on the list. Fuck out of here. I don't give a damn what Contessa says or what anybody else says. And Quad, I don't care what you have to say either, because you want to say it wasn't just about her, it was about everybody else, but y'all made it about her. Y'all wanted her to be taught a lesson. So again, y'all can't come at her about how she wasn't communicative if y'all didn't even want her to be a part of this in the first place. If y'all wanted her to be set up to fail, y'all didn't want her to have a good outcome, then why should she care about how you guys feel? Why should she want y'all to be included if y'all didn't want her to be included? Make it make sense. So it led to me that this is a huge level of a lack of communication that falls on Jackie. How Jackie never cleared it up that Steve and Mimi were at my table, but they did not cover individual tickets. So they needed to buy their own individual tickets. While recognizing y'all didn't want to be part of the contribution, I don't understand how it's confusing how if you come to this event, it's $150 worth of tickets. And why didn't we hear anything from Brandy, from Angel, who were told the same thing and they didn't make an issue about it? So why is Steve and me making an issue about it? So wondering, why is it so hard for everyone to come together? And Jackie says it's because of how we got started. But then she also talked about how the foundation is coming to its final 30 days, where it is now a true foundation, where money can be raised for it. And it is a great thing. But Toya ended up saying the 501(c) was my idea. Once again, Jackie is taking credit that she doesn't even deserve to take any credit for. You want to be on your high horse and not admit that Toya was a great co-chairwoman, and how she did have a great idea to create a real foundation. So, you know what, going back to when Toya made the mission statement of putting her and Jackie as original founders, now I understand why she did it, because it was her idea. So she should be part of the original members, because she was the one who created it. She was the one who made it a real thing. So all y'all really can't feel in no type of way about how she didn't include nobody in it, because it wasn't a real foundation. It was just an annual event that you guys created, that Jackie wanted y'all to do, but it wasn't a real thing that we could look online and actually donate, actually give something to. Like, fuck out of here with that shit. Like, that's some crazy shit there. Y'all really want to make it seem as if Toy did not come up with any good ideas, that she does not add value to the community. Like, I don't have time. So the men, they head backstage. All right, Toya is defending the fact that Mimi and Steve were not targeted. Backstage, Eugene is saying, I'm not about to apologize for something that I didn't do. Steve still has a chip on his shoulder, saying how it's not personal. But that's all Eugene has been receiving that from you, Steve. You've been giving him personal energy. And then Steve want to do some reverse psychology, as if all this time Eugene has been coming at Steve and Steve is just responding. You and your wife are very good at flipping conversations and making it seem as if you guys are the victims and you guys have not been the ones starting all this shit. It is crazy that you guys act like y'all have been just responding to all this mistreatment when y'all have been the ones giving mistreatment. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it once and I'm gonna say it again. It's giving that light-skinned privilege shit, that since Mimi and Steve are one of the lightest people a part of this group, they act like they can get touch. They act like they are exempt from starting shit, being involved in shit. I don't have time. And then Steve, this is where you really went left for me. You really think you are the finest man in this room by talking about Toya mentioning that you are attractive and that she likes you with your shirt off. You and your wife don't listen. Y'all listen to what y'all want to hear and y'all accept it and turn it into something completely different. What Toya ended up saying was that all the men can keep their shirt on except for King. Long pause. And maybe Steve. But she never said it that you were attractive. She never said, I only want to see Steve with his shirt off. She never made it about you. She mostly made it about King. And she's recognizing that the men in this group are not in shape. But you and King are. But it wasn't as if she was lusting after you, Steve. It wasn't as if she wanted you. I don't know why you making it seem as if she wanted you in that way. And that's kind of dangerous for you to do that while you are married. And why would you have all this energy for what one woman said about you? That doesn't make any sense. Like, you really wanted to stretch the imagination that Eugene has it out for you, all because Toya said you look good with your shirt off, when she never said it in that way. Nigga, please. You have a chimp of a face. Get out of my face. And Eugene, again, is not even taking that seriously. Like, he's not giving the energy that Steve desperately wants from him. He's just chirping away like a little kid. Chirp, 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 chirp. Like, you don't really have nothing else to say to this man. You're just coming out of your ass about anything. And again, I also feel like Steve wants to regain the glory that he wished he had when he was a part of the NFL that wasn't a long period of time. So now that he's a part of this show, he wants to use any moment he can to get some attention. But again, Steve, nobody is checking for you. Nobody is checking your pockets, checking how much money you have. Because if you have money, you don't need to keep on saying how much you have it. Like, Eugene wants to stop talking. Like, he wants this to be done. But Steve wants to continue on and keep on having the last word to say. And that's when Eugene got up and said, man, I'm leaving. I'm done. I'm done. Like, I ain't got time for somebody. Let me know when he stops talking like a child. And then he walked away, and while he's walking away, Steve want to say he got a little man complex. Well, you have imposter syndrome. How about that? You trying to be somebody that you're not, and it's ridiculous. Why do you have so much energy for this man when he did not do anything to you? And then you laughing with the fellas, and you think they laughing with you. They not laughing with you. Steve, I'm going to tell you this right now. You're not gaining no favor with these fellas with what you did. You might have gained favor with Curtis. Hell, you might gain favor with Damon. It all depends on how you go about it, but no doubt, Curtis is definitely going to use you to co-sign on his bullshit. He's definitely going to use you to speak on his behalf like you done before. The same way how Mimi is going to constantly co-sign on Heavenly's behalf and defend her actions and not hold her accountable. So y'all definitely are in or being minions to the rest of the cast. So I also want to say this. Folks are saying that Eugene was being weak. He was being a pussy for walking away from Steve. I honestly don't think he was being a pussy at all. Throughout this entire ordeal of the reunion, Eugene was being the realest man ever. Because he is not going to come out of character and ruin his life of being a doctor to give Steve the attention that he wants. He's not going to do that. He's still 10 toes down on how he felt. He didn't get beaten to submission on changing his thought process for nobody. He rode for his wife as he should. Took accountability what he needed to take accountability for the part that he played, and that was it. Y'all not gonna rattle Eugene's feathers, because for me, Eugene gives me the energy that my husband have. My husband gives me that silent but deadly energy, where my husband is cool, calm, collected, don't bother nobody. But if you come at him sideways, be prepared to get that work. But he doesn't want to always give that to somebody. You got to give him a reason to do that. Otherwise, he's cool with everybody. And that's how Eugene is. Eugene is the most coolest, calmest husband on this cast, where he don't bother nobody, he don't say nothing to nobody, and he comes with the most sense. And y'all want to make it seem as if he's weak. He's a pussy. Because y'all are disrespecting him the way that you guys are assuming that Toya has disrespected him. But the way that Toya had disrespected him, that's not on purpose. That's moments where she should be accountable, and that's it. But again, they have been married for over 17 years. He knows everything about her, and he loves everything about her. Like, in the end, y'all want him to treat Toya the way y'all treat Toya. You know what I'm saying? Y'all want him to cuss her out, degrade her, berate her, give her that energy that she's giving him, because you think that she deserves it. But him being her husband, he's not going to give y'all what y'all want. I'm going to handle my wife the way I handle my wife. And that's not to your liking. That is not my problem. Y'all got your own feelings in the matter about my wife, and y'all deal with it accordingly. But I'm not going to be something that y'all want me to be because y'all want me to come at her the way you want me to come at her. That's not what y'all can get out of me. So moving on from there. The final moments of the reunion is closed out by all of the ladies' thoughts. Angel and Brandy came in as rookies. They had a great experience. Toya said what she'll take from this season is that she'll fight for the truth, and she will apologize to the ladies if they have been hurt by her. But it's going to hurt her to do it, but she'll do it. And once she says it, that's it. I don't hold grudges. And I feel like out of everybody on this cast, y'all all have a way of holding some type of grudge. But for Toya, she knows that you got an issue, but she's not going to harp on it. We can talk about it. We can move on. That's it. That's all. I will laugh at the shit that you say about me. I will joke of the shit that you said about me because I don't take these things personally. I just move on. Heavenly, how we're looking forward to her campaign for Congress. If she gets elected, means she's going to lead the show. Who knows? Good luck to you, Heavenly. Contestants ready for Heavenly to be gone. Simone and Jackie, they're good. She recognizes Jackie's efforts for putting their relationship first. Keep your eye out, Simone. Don't trust Jackie again. Then there was a moment between Heavenly and Simone. While Heavenly want to call out that I will never put my family on blast, and I'm so sorry for her. I'm so sorry that she does that. That doesn't make any sense, Heavenly. You're on a reality show where you're talking about your life and you're getting to the real about your life. You're not sugarcoating anything. So you saying you feel sorry for Simone because she's putting family on blast? Well, it's more than what you do because you don't say shit. It is amazing that you've lasted all this time on this show and have never talked about anything about your life. You want to keep pretending that you have a perfect life, that there is nothing going on in your life whatsoever. So you should at some point be demoted to be a friend of, or not even be a part of the show. Because why sign up for a reality show if you're not going to give us your reality? But no doubt you're starting a mess. That's a part of the package of being a part of a reality show. But in the end, you still got to be upfront about your own life. And that you have no right to judge and criticize anybody else who's willing to be honest and transparent about their life. And again, I'm going to also say this. Heavenly, you received a lot of grace from these ladies that they did not talk about your son's arrest that they could have. It was mentioned one time and it was shut down completely. They did not again confront you about your son's arrest. They did not confront you about what has taken place. You had a moment with Simone about where things have left off with you and your son, and that was it. It wasn't dragged out like it should have been. You were literally given so much grace in that aspect that folks could have really dragged into your shit for that, but they didn't. And then Heavenly gotta have the last word. So fucking annoying. I ain't got time for it. Quad gotta do her monologue about how these are my family. These ladies are a part of me. You can never break us apart. I stand by them and they stand by me. While Quad has gone through a lot of being on the show, off the show, back on this show, she will survive. Okay? Then we close out with champagne. Andy wants Toya to give the toast. Toya said, I'm happy to give the toast as long as Mimi don't count my drinks. Mimi said, oh, we good with champagne. And you see how she can laugh after you shaded her for that aspect? Like, see, Mimi, you really need to make sure you come next season being more open-minded. How Toya can laugh at the things you said and judged her about. It's not going to be funny when it's your turn. I kid you not. Your time is coming because you are approaching your 3rd year. Yeah, the doors are going to open for you to be more honest and transparent about your life, about what's really going on in your marriage with Steve, how you are handling your day-to-day. And it's not going to always be covered by you having a hard time raising a special needs child. You're going to have to bring something else. I'm so sorry, but not sorry. And that was the end of the reunion. That's the end of season 12. I would say this season was good. Hell, majority of the conversation was about was about Toya and Simone. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, we wouldn't have had nothing else to talk about. But I can't wait for season 13. I want to know what y'all gonna bring. And as far as everyone else's storyline, what else y'all can bring to the table. But that is the end of Married to Medicine, y'all. And that's it. That's all I have. Please stay tuned for my next video. I'm gonna see you guys later. Bye.